Hey, this is Hailey Rowe, and I'm the founder of HaileyRowe.com, co-founder of Power Player. And if you're looking to lose weight, get in better health, get coached by somebody who can actually change your habits and your behavior, then you should be listening to the Hacked Life podcast with my good friend, Joel Evan.
Hey, what's up? Joel Evan here, host of the Hack Life podcast and weight loss coach for busy men. I'm excited to tell you I just dropped an 8-week program dedicated to motivated and busy men who want to lose weight. Let's face it, guys, when you lose weight, you feel more confident and you have higher self-esteem and you go out and you crush the world. You crush your goals and you start living your higher purpose. So if you're interested, DM me at Joel Evan Coaching or email me below, info@joelevancoaching.com. All right, hey, it's Joel from the Hack Life, and I'm here with Hailey Rowe. She is a business and sales development coach for coaches in the industry and a co-founder of Power Player Marketing Services. Hailey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, Joel.
Hey, so one of the ways, when we first connected, you and we both started out as human potential coaches through Dave Asprey's health coaching, life coaching program. And then I kind of followed your journey. That's how we first connected. And then I followed your journey, and you ended up working for Catharine Arnston, right? The founder of Energy Bits. Everybody in the biohacking community knows her for her spirulina and chlorella. And now you've completely pivoted, and you're actually helping coaches like myself create a profitable business. So talk to us about this journey, and how did this all come about? What were the steps that got you there?
Totally. So about 10 years ago, I got into the coaching industry, and I was in wellness. So I got, behavioral change specialist, nutrition specialist, personal trainer, all the different things. I just kept thinking I needed more certifications, and I was wrong about that. But anyways, I realized I loved coaching. I loved helping others see what's possible and changing their habits. And I did that for a little while, a couple years, and I studied entrepreneurship and got my bachelor's degree in that while I was building a coaching business. And then once I finished getting my bachelor's degree, I ended up working in the startup world because a job opportunity kind of landed in my lap a little bit, and I thought this would be cool. This would be an amazing way to get more business development and marketing experience. And so I realized I wanted to pursue that, and I did work in the startup world for a couple years for a couple different wellness companies. And it was like a crash course in entrepreneurship and marketing and copywriting and doing things that I had never done before and had to learn and figure out. And I did that for about 3 years, and eventually one of the companies I worked with had a lot of trouble getting approved or getting things moving at the pace they wanted to be moving at because they had a lot of wellness machines that were, not FDA approved, and there were all these restrictions of what they could do and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, eventually what happened was everybody got let go on a Zoom call at once. And
oh, wow.
It was a big turning point for me because during the time of working for the startups, I put my coaching business on hold, and I really was like, oh man, if I would have just at least kept it a little bit alive, I would have something to fall back on, and I didn't. And so I was starting from scratch, and I was like, well, the worst thing that could happen in your job, right, is that you get let go. And that happened. So what do I want to do about it? And I realized a lot of people were coming to me that were in the wellness industry because they'd seen the work I was doing and asking me questions, asking me about social media, asking me how do you feel confident with sales and things like that. And I naturally was like, I love talking to these people. This is really fun. And so I pivoted and I became marketing and sales coach and strategist for coaches in the wellness space. And because it broke my heart that so many of them were very talented, very certified, very trained, and yet this was an unpaid hobby or charity that they were doing because they didn't know how to put themselves out there. They didn't know how to, set up good copy. They weren't doing lead generation, etc. And so I turned to helping them with their businesses. And then it expanded to, life coaches and all types of coaches, but I really started focused. And then I expanded my niche from there. And then most recently, I've expanded even more to doing services for my clients who don't want to do the stuff themselves, meaning they don't want to learn the lead gen, they don't want to learn the copy, they don't want to do it themselves, and they want to outsource it. So that's kind of the evolution of my business, and how it all came together.
That's really cool. So I didn't know. So you're actually kind of like a one-stop shop now. So not only are you if someone wants to come to you to like, hey, how do I just make a profitable business? I'm a great coach, but I'm just not profitable. Mm-hmm. You can do that. And then if they also want you just to outsource like the leads, and as far as I guess like I'm assuming like the content kind of marketing, yep. you guys can do that too.
Yeah. So I'm Hailey Rowe, coach, and then I also have a company called Power Player with my business partner, and that's the services.
That's awesome. Okay, really cool. It's funny because what you were just talking about, I mean, everyone I think can relate to what you're talking about being laid off, especially like after we just got through this pandemic, mm-hmm. right? So yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are in your shoe or in your shoes that right now where you were a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Do you think like, and having said that, do you think like right now is like one of the greatest times then to be starting a side hustle or side business, or even in this case, a coaching business?
Totally. I think that, first of all, I think a lot of people get concerned because they're like, oh, it's already so saturated, or oh, I'm not unique enough, or whatever. And I think all of that is just beliefs, and you need to get over that, because the truth is there's so many tools available online right now that you could learn to start your business from, and so many things that like I would have never learned in business school that are just available on YouTube or podcasts and things like that. So yeah, I would say, and we live in a time where as long as you're bringing value, like you can set yourself up for some really amazing opportunities. Like as Gary Vee says, you could go to somebody you admire and be like, hey, I'll make, let's say you're a video editor or something. I'll edit your videos for free for a month as long as you just put my little logo in the corner or something like that. And there's just, if you're resourceful and we live in an age where you can really connect with anybody and you can find any tool you need. So I think it's a great time to start a business. And I also think what's unique, or you need to have an irresistible offer, and you need to have a specific type of person or audience you're trying to talk to. But you don't need to make something incredibly new or out there just to stand out. Like I think as long as you are clear on what you want to offer, how you do it, your unique method, your method will be unique, you can be successful in starting your own business.
I love that. And some of the things you just touched on, the offer, mm-hmm. as a coach like yourself, man, my offer was absolute crap for so many years.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And it was so muddled and just confusing. And that, I think, you're right. I think that's a huge thing that limits like some phenomenal coaches from going to the next level. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
One of the things that that I saw on your page is that you started your coaching business, and you said, like, hey, look, I was making like $50 like a session, like, and you're a great coach. I know you're a great coach.
Thank you.
You're like, I was making $50 a session, and I did that for like 6 months. And then next thing you know, you're charging like $3,000 to $5,000, making the money that you deserve and that you want. Like, what was the big aha moment you think for you for that during that time period?
Yes. So what I realized, I think in the coaching industry and in any industry, there's all these these beliefs that are put on us in our certification programs or by other coaches, and we just think that's the way it has to be. So, your coaching certification program might say, yep, you got to charge per session, and a typical rate is this, and that's what you got to do. And I really started to look at things differently when I started to work with other mentors and be in other programs and read business books and realize that actually you got to stop charging per session, and you got to start thinking about what are the end results and the end goals that I want to provide for my clients, and what is that truly worth, and what is it costing them right now to not be at those results, and then structure your offer. So my offers stopped becoming just single sessions, because who's really going to change their life in one single session, right? I
I
started
got it all.
seeing,
Yes, thank you.
yeah, woo! I mean, you can get a lot done. You can pinpoint a problem and solve it, but there's always more problems, and there's always
Always
more
more
things.
problems.
Yeah.
And on that note, just really quick,
Mhm.
I am there are a couple things you said, but I'm being coached by other coaches right now, and what you just said, I can't imagine like if I didn't have that coach, because every week is like changing. I'm up and down every week, and I think we always are as humans. You need someone to be giving you perspective, to be giving you guidance, keeping you on path. Like if you don't have a coach or somebody that's just giving you that feedback, like
Mhm.
you're completely missing out. Or like I'll just say, like you're just not going to go to like the level you want to. That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll have a great life, but you just won't go to that next level.
Right. And because I had those mentors, I opened my mind to, whoa, wait, what if I could do a 4-month program at X rates? Or what if I could have the complete journey for them laid out, and it's a 6-month program and it's this much? And so I just started exploring. And when you believe something's possible and you commit to it, and you are willing to have no's, you're willing to charge what you're worth, all of that, you can change your results. So that's what happened for me. And the more I started to see, oh wait, yeah, this is working. They're getting great results. I'm getting good social proof. I just continued to grow and scale and have different offers. But at the end of the day, no longer feel, you never want to feel like you're resenting your job or your clients. You want to feel like you're changing their life. They are putting skin in the game. You are putting skin in the game. And that it's legit, and not just like, oh, I gotta, $50 an hour, time for money. That's how it is.
That's so true. And it's like, if you're charging $50 an hour, I'm sorry, that's like decent money. Like that's
Yeah.
cool money. Like depending where you're at. I mean, I'm in California, and like, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, like you just said, as a coach, you're just gonna start feeling like, oh, that wasn't really worth my time, or like, oh, I could have been doing, and you're not going to be excited about it.
Yeah.
So that's so crucial.
Right. And I do
Something else.
think, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
I'm not the kind of person who's like, yeah, you're just starting out and you have no experience, charge like $10,000. Like, no, I will not say that. But what I do think is you need to look at the results and what you can truly provide, and, have that whatever it takes mindset with your clients, and then structure your programs and start to increase your prices as you get more experienced and things like that. So I just want to point out that, yes, you do have to start somewhere. I had to start cheap. I had to start with giving away a lot of free stuff. I had to do that because it allowed me to learn about my target audience. It allowed me to get some people some results that I could market, all of that stuff in the beginning. But again, I don't think where you start and what bar you set for yourself in the beginning is totally up to you. And I think that you just got to think about all of this when you're choosing your places.
Yeah, okay, I gotta go back. A couple amazing things you said. You talk about beliefs. That's so huge. I love that. And one of the things you said is, people they're going to say, oh, well, the coaching market is saturated right now. Okay, that's complete bullshit. And by the way, actually, it is saturated. And guess what? The podcasting market is saturated too. So just don't start a podcast, okay?
Right.
I had somebody reach out to me early on when I started the podcast last year, 2020. And they said, well, Joel, like the podcast market is saturated. Like there's a lot of good podcasts. I was like, oh, that's great. And I just laughed because I think back to that day. And this person was looking out for me, by the way. Like, this wasn't like someone trying to destroy my dreams or my hopes.
Yeah.
Like, this person was genuinely looking out for me. It was just like, yeah, but, like, it's saturated. And I think back and laugh because I'm like, if I had listened to you and your beliefs, like, I launched the podcast in the pandemic. Now, some people would say that's a terrible time to launch. But I did. It was the best decision I ever did. And, I mean, I had don't get me wrong, I had a lot of stuff pre-planned prior. But nonetheless, like, if you're looking from the outside, you'd be like, what are you doing? Like, that's crazy. Don't do that. One of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah.
And so I
it's
love that.
How you look at it. And what's funny about the podcast thing is, do you know that, I don't know the actual statistics because I don't have them memorized, but I've read them somewhere where it's like how many people that actually stick to a podcast for more than like 5 episodes is so small. Like, it's like, okay.
I heard the number I heard the other day was like 7%.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, yeah,
That go
maybe it's
past 3
saturated,
episodes.
but who's consistent? Who's sticking with it? Who is providing the most value? Like, and same thing with the coaching market being saturated. If you go to a party or if you're in an airport or something, my guess is you're probably the only coach within, there's probably not a ton of coaches there right now. So I think we live in this bubble online where coaches follow other coaches and coaches are, looking at other coaches to admire and whatever. And so you think there's all these coaches and it's so saturated and how are you going to do this? And everybody knows about all these other coaches, but the truth is you are limiting yourself, and that's not necessarily true. It's growing for sure. You can't argue that this is a growing industry because it's a great industry. But yeah, I think people get carried away about that, and you can choose to look at everything however you want. You saw your podcast being, this is the greatest time to start it, and
yeah, then
you start collecting evidence for why that's true.
Yeah, I love that. Something else you said that I caught, you said, yeah, you know, when I was starting the coaching business, I was going around other mentors.
Mm-hmm.
I was investing in myself.
Yeah.
I was surrounding myself in masterminds. I love that. And I want you to talk more about it because something that I see a lot with people is they'll kind of come to me now for like answers. Like, hey, can you just like give me this? And I'm just thinking, well, I would love to, but do you know how much I invest in myself? Do you know how many, like, all the steps like it took for me to get here? All the people I had to invest in? And people, I'm sure you get this a lot too. They're just like, oh, so like, just give me the quick answer.
Yeah.
Guys, it doesn't work that way. Like, it doesn't work that way. So can you talk about like that idea of like, yeah, you got to invest in yourself. You got to be around these masterminds and mentors.
Yeah. I think that the analogy I always use is not having a coach or somebody providing some feedback and a bird's eye view of what stuff you're not seeing. It's kind of like going in your car and not putting in an address into your GPS and just kind of guessing your way to the route. And you're going to take a ton of twists and turns that you might not have needed to take if you would have had a coach or somebody supporting you who's already done it successfully and helped you get clarity on where you want to go and all of that. So that's how I see coaching. And the way I also see it is I want convenience, and I want to, I don't want to be the kind of person who's trying to fill up at the free samples table, as I always say. Meaning, you don't, and this is my business partner was once my mentor before we became partners, and he always taught me this. This is Paul Berry's analogy. He's like, you cannot fill up, you can't get a full meal at the free samples table. You got to drive to the next, you're at the Costco, you're trying to fill up, you're like awkward, and you're like, can I come get more samples? I've already had 2, but I'm still not full. Then you got to go to the other place. And that's what people do when they're trying to piece everything together online. And you can totally do that. The resources are out there. There's so many free guides and webinars, and a lot of people do start that way, and that's fine.
Yeah,
but
that's great.
If you want to get a full meal and know what's involved every step and in a structured way, that's where coaching and masterminds and all the things you're talking about come in.
Yeah, guys, you have to invest in yourself. If you want to level up, you have to invest in yourself, and sometimes you have to pay to play. If you want to just go to the next level, it's just that's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. Let's change gears really quick. What do you think then? You mentioned offer and stuff, so maybe that's what it is. But what do you think like the most common mistake that coaches are making when they're trying to establish and make a profitable business?
Yes. So I think that the most common mistakes, well, there's actually a couple things. First, I think a lot of people expect that they can just put something out there and expect people to come to them. Like they can do a post on social media or they could be on a podcast and then whoa, like people are just going to be flooding, right? And what I like to do is take a more proactive approach and really help my clients see that it's all about traffic, the number of offers you're making, right? And closing them, converting them. So I
Yeah.
always refer to Alex Sharfin's, he has 5 core functions of business: lead generation, lead nurturing, lead conversion, delivery of your program, and then retaining your clients or upselling, downsell, like keeping them in the game, right? And so what I think a lot of coaches miss is they don't understand that if they want to get more closes, they're not looking at the right things. They're thinking, I got to do this many posts, and I gotta, do Instagram stories every day and all this stuff. And really, they're not doing it in a structured, focused way. They're not making a certain number of offers. They're not booking discovery calls every week. And the key critical drivers of their success, especially if you're a high ticket coach, typically are number of calls booked and number of offers made. Minus the no's, it equals your results, right? So
Yeah.
I like to really get people focused on, yeah, it's an equation. All you need is this many, people coming in each week, this many people probably end up converting, etc. And then your business becomes more predictable versus you just being like, I hope posting this post is going to get me clients. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is being too broad and not having an irresistible offer. So, and I struggled with this so much because I wanted to help everybody, and I wanted,
Yes.
and everybody has FOMO. Like,
I'm Tony Robbins.
Yes.
I help everybody.
Right. But the truth is, everybody starts somewhere with some specific, typically niche. You're doing yourself a favor because, again, going back to, if you really think this is a saturated market, then you got to have a certain group that's going to be like, this coach is my girl or my guy. Because they understand.
Give an example, by the way. Give an example of like a crazy, maybe like a niche that you're like, that's like a client of yours, where you're like, that's crazy. Like, I can't believe people, there's a niche for that. But actually, this person, whoever you're coaching, there's a huge market, and like this person is doing very well for them. Is there anybody like stands out you can think of, like a crazy niche?
Well, I wouldn't say crazy, but I'd say like,
okay.
I've had clients who just work with nurses. I've had clients who work with type 2 diabetes, people who want to reverse it naturally. I've had people who, there was actually one guy who was like taught magic classes or something, or like wizard stuff, like just like very, and there was like he was doing really well, and it was all these people who were just into like fantasy magic stuff, and you'd think like, really, like people like pay that much for like a course on magic stuff. So I wouldn't say it has to be crazy. I just think it has to be specific. Like, I started with just health coaches, and you'd think, I have a lot of people say like, but health coaches, like, they don't make that much money, so how are they going to pay you and all this stuff? And I started with that, and I built really a great business just with that before it expanded to life coaches and mindset coaches, etc. And if you really think what somebody I admire, and I think, like Brooke Castillo, for example, the founder of the Life Coach School, she started just doing weight loss, and now she's expanded to relationships, everything. Like, but she earned that because she mastered one thing. And I think this is the whole point of getting specific. It gets you to master something and then be able to repeat it with any niche or with any, you need to commit to something. And that's where I think a lot of people just go all over the place and never commit to anything. And then they're just like going around in circles and not getting anything done.
Yeah, that's so great. Thank you. That was amazing. Yep. So someone comes to work with you. What should they expect? Like, what's a typical session like? I don't know if you just want to kind of give people an idea.
Yeah. So I don't have a typical quote unquote session, but I have a framework that a lot of the work that I do falls under. And I always say, I help you grow your business the fast way. And it's an acronym. So F.A.S.T. So what that means is we work together on your followers and I'll explain each one in a second. Action, sales, time, and transformation. So there is 2 T's at the end. But anyways, the followers part is all about filling your pipeline with your ideal clients. So every client, that's going to look a little different depending on where their client hangs out, depending on if they want to outsource their marketing or if they want to do it themselves organically, etc. But we talk about what are the platforms to use, how do you grow your audience, and not necessarily grow your followers just to have followers and be an influencer, because that's not, I've met a lot of influencers and I've worked with a lot of people who are like celebrity trainers, but then they're not, it's like they have a big, huge audience, but nobody's buying anything from them. So we have to get clear on who is that person and how do we attract the people who are going to book calls with you and pay you. Then we have action, which means how do you create content that is compelling enough and urgent enough and clear enough that people do it and follow through with your calls to action in your posts. So we talk about copywriting and we talk about how to make it clear and all of that. Then there's sales, which is obviously discovery calls and how do you coach through objections and how do you feel confident in your pricing and in sales and not like you're being pushy or creepy or weird. And then there's time and transformation. Time and transformation. So time is what's the best use of your time? What are the client-generating activities? And transformation is 2 things. What's the transformation that you're providing for your clients? And do you have the social proof to back that up? And is that clear? And how did you structure your offer and all that? And then the transformation that you go through, personal transformation. Because a lot of times it's not about the strategies or the tactics, but it's about you becoming the person who can be, a 6-figure coach or whatever, and overcoming those beliefs and those things that you're procrastinating on and blah, blah, blah. So we talk a little bit about mindset too. So overall, like those are the topics that are in my juiciest program. But everybody, has different areas within that framework that they need to focus on more. And so we're able to adjust accordingly.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's perfect. So there's that framework, and then depending on what people need, they can go to certain areas of the buffet and pick what they need, or you can help strategize that for them based on what you're seeing. So that's great. Yeah. Here's a question for you. You and I are both coaches. We're around a lot of amazing people because we just like that stuff. I'm not saying that in like any egotistical way. It's just that we like, again, talking about masterminds and just being around other coaches and great people. You and I love that kind of stuff, that self-growth kind of stuff. What's the best advice you've ever gotten from any of these amazing coaches that you're around?
Good one.
Anything stick out?
Yes. So I think that the things that I've learned is that it's simpler than we make it out to be. Meaning, like going back to what I said about number of offers minus no's equals your results. And then, there's a million things that fall under your offer. Like, is your copy clear? Do you have a landing page for it? Is it automated? Right? No's, like, okay, did they think it's too expensive? How do you handle that? Like, there's a lot of stuff that fall under those. But at the end of the day, and as Brad Lee says, I don't know if you know who that is, but he always says, what?
The apartment guy, right?
No, he has a podcast called the Brad Lee, or no, what is it called? Dropping Bombs or Knowledge Bombs?
That's okay. Yes, that's the guy I'm thinking of, but he has something apartment rockstar or something. Yes, yeah. Same guy, yeah. Dropping Bombs, yeah.
Yeah, well, he always says the more hands you shake, the more money you make. And I think we need to simplify this. Like, just talking to people and making offers and learning from your no's. And later you can automate all that, but start there if you're new. And then the other thing that that I've learned from coaches is that it's very selfish to be nervous or get in your own head. So in other words, I find that in the beginning, I work with a lot of clients who are like, I'm afraid to go on video, or like, I don't want to sound stupid, or, I look bad in this picture or whatever. And the truth is, when you're spending time doing that, you're not contributing anything. And you're in your own head, and there are people out there who are looking for what you have to offer, and they're not finding you because you're stuck, like, waiting to post that video because you think you look bad, which is silly, right? And I also use the analogy. I used to sing in wedding bands and in a wedding band, and we'd have gigs all the time. And when I was nervous, or if I got in my head about like, oh, that new song, I gotta remember, I was taken away from my performance, and they were paying me to show up and be good. So if I was in my head and being nervous and like weird about like thinking about how I looked or all that, they'd be paying me for value I was not delivering because I was stuck being nervous and not giving a great performance. So I think getting out of your own head is huge. And then the last thing I would say is making sure that when you're doing sales, that you understand that your job as a coach is to hold your clients accountable to what they say they want. And that shifted sales for me, because I used to think, well, sales is, a lot of people use the language of like convincing someone or asking them to pay me or whatever, and you really have to change your views on that to thinking that sales is holding somebody accountable to what they say they want. Because if they're going to keep doing the free stuff and doing what they've been doing that hasn't been working, they're not going to get what they say they want. So your job is to coach them through those objections, help them see things differently, and that's your job as a coach. And so in sales, it's the exact same thing. Good coaches are also going to be really good at sales, because you're not forcing something down someone's throat. You're inquiring, you're coaching them through their fears. You're trying to understand, why they haven't gotten to where they want to go and how you can help solve their problem. And so seeing sales in that way changed the game for me as well.
So many good nuggets. I love that. Yeah, thanks. I only asked you for one. You gave me like three.
Sorry,
just so you know.
I do that.
What's like a tip? Any tips or anything you can think of that, like, if I'm trying to grow on any of these platforms, Instagram, Facebook, I think that's a big thing. Trying to get followers. What's like one tip that you would give any coach right now that they could walk away with and start implementing today on social media?
Yeah.
To kind of help them gain that that pipeline, right?
Yeah.
Leads. Totally.
So I would say there's a couple things. But the one thing that I would say is it depends. If you're starting out and you're new, you have the luxury and the time to build personal relationships with your audience. So my suggestion would be to the followers you do have, send them a welcome message. Be like, hey, thank you so much for the follow. I would love to hear more about you. How did you find me? And like, that is a really valuable question, because then you can do more of where they found you. So if they found you because you are on a certain podcast, or if they found you because of a hashtag you used or something, then that's really good info to know to keep growing your following. And also you could say something like, if you ever have any content requests, let me know. I take requests, like I try to make my content useful. And then when your content becomes more useful and shareable and likable by them, then they're going to share it with their friends. Or you could say, like, do you know anybody looking to get support with this too? And invite them to, come to the account or whatever. So I think the one tip would be build those personal connections if you're early in your business. Now, if you are like busy and you just like are at a level where it's a lot of people, either set up a way for that to be personal and automated. So one of the things we do at Power Players, we help you develop your conversational marketing flow and get that more automated for you. Or, have somewhere that you send them, one central place, like your email funnel or your Facebook group or whatever it is, that's very personal, like you're showing up live in there or you're giving them great value, and it's, leading them through building that know, like, and trust factor all the way up to an offer.
Yeah, those are great. I'm going to do some of those right now.
Love it.
Writing those down. As far as, what do you see that's hot kind of in the industry coming out in terms of marketing? Like, I just started doing TikTok yesterday. And it wasn't that I was resistant to it. It was just like, for me, I'm like, oh, God, it's like another thing. Like, I'm already trying to do this, right? But in terms of, you got TikTok. Now we got Clubhouse. Is there anything that you're kind of like got your eyes on and you're like, that would be really good for coaches or anything that you're doing personally?
Yeah. So I'll be honest, I don't even really, I started TikTok and I started Clubhouse, but it's not my main priority right now. And so my whole thing is the principles of marketing and sales. Do however you pick to do those things, meaning however you pick to make offers and grow your visibility and, you know, show up online, that's fine. Like, to me, it's like, pick whatever you're going to stick to and be consistent with. But I will say that I'm a little bit different in that my two favorite things are email marketing and cold emails and building relationships with people over emails, which doesn't sound super popular or sexy, but to me it works. And especially if you do it the right way and not like a gross, weird, slimy way.
What's a gross, weird, slimy way? What is that?
You know, hey, here's what I offer. You want to buy it. And also, like,
come and join my program.
Yeah, and it works better for like B2B or if you're building your network. You have to approach it the right way. Like, you know, I wouldn't, if you're a health coach, I wouldn't go to there's a way I would do it for you. That wouldn't be like, hey, are you looking to lose weight? You know, like straight to the person. So that's kind of more, we can talk about that later. But the whole point is, emailing and LinkedIn lead gen are my two favorite things. And again,
oh, cool.
A lot of people do those things gross and weird, but if you do it the right way, if you add humor, if you're in it to build a relationship, I think that it's a great, fast way to be booking calls and building your network and building your clientele.
Very cool. Before we go into the lightning round of questions, anything that I didn't ask you that you wish I had?
You know, I don't think so, but I think that one of the things I just want to hone in on, or like something that I'm looking at right now, because you've probably heard me bring up beliefs a lot, is that like I would ask your audience, what do they think is impossible? And write all that down. And why might you be wrong about that? Because for me, like even some of the things you've brought up, coaching market is saturated. You know, it takes time to build business. Writing all those down and being like, okay, I hold this belief, but is that really, like, what else is true? And also, how else could I look at it? And also, is this useful to me, right? Or what can I change about this? And being able to, one by one, kind of work through that, you're going to become the kind of person who can get the results that you want. So even though we've talked a lot about marketing today, I think that's also really important to look at your beliefs.
Yeah, it goes back to some of these core fundamentals and principles, which I think you've really brought into light. Like if I asked you what's the hottest thing, you're like, yeah, like those are good, but like you really need to focus on these core principles and fundamentals, and then all that other stuff's going to follow. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, love that. Cool. Well, let's jump into the lightning round of questions. Ready?
I'm ready. Woo.
All right. If the old you could see the new you, what would the new you say?
Okay. So, to me, I think what I would say is that the seeds you're planting right now, even though you don't see them harvesting, they are. Because in the beginning, and I would also tell myself, it gets easier, but it really doesn't get easier. You just get new problems.
You get new problems, yeah.
New ceilings, but it does get easier in that you just get better at handling them. You're not as like thrown off by things. You just you start to learn different skills that make things easier. So to me, I would say the seeds you're planting right now, even though you can't see the results, they are brewing. And then number two would be you kind of that like cliche quote. It doesn't get easier, you just get better. And that's been really true for me.
Love that. What are some choices you made that you think made you who you are today?
I think one of the choices is choosing to, like my gateway into personal development was taking care of my health. And it led me to other things like working on my mindset, starting a business, like having that confidence to do those things. So to me, one of the main choices that I think it's just the habits that I've built over time. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. I love that.
All good. Okay.
I love that. What are some exciting projects that you're working on right now?
I One of the biggest things I'm working on right now is realizing that we nobody can change the world and make the impact that they want to make by themselves. And so I'm really excited with Power Player that we're helping coaches, consultants, authors, course creators, all those people who work in the online space be able to expand their influence, authority, and reach online without having to do it all themselves and without having to stress about you know, not having that predictability in their business about where's the leads going to come in and what am I doing and I got to keep doing all these things and you're like running on this hamster wheel. So I'm really excited about what we're offering at Power Player, which is helping people book more discovery calls and helping them get to their ideal client with more follow through, with more consistency in the right places, that kind of thing. So just a couple of our lead gen projects that we're working on at Power Player. And if your audience ever has questions about that or ever has questions about marketing coaching, they can always DM me at Hailey_Rowe. That's HAILEY_Rowe, ROWE, if they ever have any questions.
Yeah, and if you guys forget, don't worry. I'm going to put everything in the show notes when we're all done and this episode goes live, so don't worry about it. Very cool. Wow. Yeah, we'll talk offline too. I want to know more about this Power Player. This is interesting. Who's someone that, in the health coaching or kind of in, self-growth world or health world that inspires you and someone that you follow?
Okay, somebody in the health world. I love two people. One is, and I used to be really nerdy about biohacking, as you know, Joel.
Yeah.
But I've kind of.
It's a dirty slope sometimes. It's a slippery slope.
Yes.
Sometimes you get really into it. It gets a little crazy.
I think I've backed off a little. I don't know what's gotten into me.
I'm trying to back off. It's tough.
Yeah. So
I'm like
two
an addict.
favorites. What?
I'm like an addict, I'm trying to slowly wean myself off of this.
I know. I need to learn more from you. But the two people I really like right now are Corinne Crabtree. She's hilarious. She coaches on weight loss, which honestly, I'm not even like that. I'm not trying to lose weight or whatever, but the stuff she says is just so like, it's also mindset based. So really, I apply it to business a lot of the stuff she says, and it just cracks me up. So anyway, she's like this Southern lady, and she's just awesome. And then the other person
check her out. I never heard of her.
Oh yeah, I think you'll like her. And then Brooke Castillo is the other one. She again started out as weight loss coach, but she helps you realize that like make your like just like feeling your emotions, because I think a lot of the problems we have with health are related to us repressing or like restricting or like not numbing our emotions with either overworking or overeating or over drinking or bad habits. And she talks about how really you can change all that by feeling your emotions, allowing urges, learning how to delay gratification, all these skills that you need in life. So I really like a lot of the stuff that she talks about.
Very cool. Two people I've never heard of, so I can't wait to start checking those people out.
Yeah, nice.
I'm a big reader. Any books that you'd recommend, or is there like 1 to 3 that like jump out at you that really impacted your life?
Yes. One major one is The Road to Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham.
The title is great.
I know, right? It's a business book, and there's a ton of reflection questions in it. And I'm a big journaler, so a lot of the questions I do and journal on. But he talks about how to just not be dumb in your business. And he calls it dumb tax. How do you not have to pay the dumb tax with all the mistakes you make? And then the other book that I would say, well, two books. One is You Are a Badass at Making Money. I love that, by Jen Sincero.
Yeah,
And
I've heard
the
that one. That's a
last
good one.
one would be, what's it called? The Greatest Secret. It's not the Secret book by Rhonda Byrne, but it's her newest one, which is about like allowing your feelings, being the observer of your mind, not reacting to things, things like that. So I just love that kind of spiritual law of attraction stuff as well.
Yeah, those are all good. Any rituals or hacks or practices that you do kind of on a regular basis?
Yes. So I do journal every day in the morning. That to me is like almost my form of meditation because I get everything out. I am able to just like observe and see what's going on in my brain. So I love journaling. I also would say I'm a big, I mean, I don't think this works for everybody, but for me, it's been great. I'm an intermittent faster.
Yeah.
I love to be able to not get hangry or like have huge dips and hunger and instead have it be just like this quiet thing like, okay, I could tend to that later and I get a lot done during the day by intermittent fasting. Um, and other than that, I think the other hack would probably be that walks with learning, personal development. I listen to my personal development, I go on walks, and I love that.
So good. Love that.
Yeah.
I want you to finish this sentence. 2020 was a crazy year, the pandemic. For a lot of people, it destroyed lives. It really hurt people in a big way. But I saw a lot of people thrive, and you're one of them. So I want you to finish this sentence. 2020 was the greatest gift because...
Ooh, okay. 2020 was the greatest gift because I stopped scrolling social media as much.
That's huge.
The reason why was because I realized when all this stuff was happening in the beginning, I went through a phase where I was like checking the news and like reading everything and so tense and just like, what is everybody saying about this? And I realized I need to get my life, like this is not productive and useful. And I think that I think also you can't get upset enough to make things better. So in other words, thriving is not taking away from somebody else, like doing their thing, right? And I think a lot of people during this 2020 time is like, we all have to suffer, we all have to hate this, we all have to hide, we all have to all this stuff. And no, like you can work on yourself, and that's the most productive thing you can do because when you work on yourself, you contribute more, and you're better to be around, and all these things. So to me, every area of my life improved, and I'm not trying to be like mean to say that because I think a lot of people are like suffering, and I understand that. And
we're using this as inspiration for sure.
Right. So and that was just because I decided I'm not gonna like scroll social media. I'm gonna set boundaries with that, and it really it was like very freeing.
I love that so much. I was just talking about that. I gave a speech on that, and I was talking about I was like, how many people lost their friends and family like in the pandemic? And I'm not talking about like being separated because of physical distances. I mean, like you literally saw some of the things they were saying on Facebook and Instagram, and you're like, I hate this person now. I'm defriending them. I'm never going to talk to that family member again. So I'm with you, and I'm like, it just became, and I realized, like you said, I was like, nothing like intellectual or like thoughtful is going to be solved on social media. So I'm with you. I promoted the podcast and whatever I was doing, but I just stopped getting into these ridiculous conversations with people because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And it's not, everyone's going to believe whatever they want. That's beautiful. So do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Awesome. Last but not least, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I have two different ways you can find me. One is HaileyRowe.com, That's HAILEYROWE.com. The other place, my other business, is gopowerplayer.com. And I'm also on Instagram at Hailey_Rowe. I have the Health Coach Nation Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/Health Coach Nation. And I have a free Instagram bio checklist and niche training on my website at HaileyRowe.com that I mentioned. So if you guys want to learn more about that, let me know. And if you want to learn how to double your business and have a free chat with me on the phone, just DM me on Instagram and I'll share my little formula with you on that call.
All right. Hailey Rowe, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.